Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to the G No podcast. but I do want to talk about the PMP exam, getting your PMP certificate. And yeah, just kind of a little, some tips, from me, obviously I can't guarantee that you're going to pass, but, I think these tips, will be helpful for a lot of you preparing for your exam. Again, a lot of people think, you know, there's you know, you're just going to show up and pass, it's right. You know, one thing is, so me, I'm a visual learner, right? Um, you know, tip one, I just don't start off reading the PMBOK guide. You can skim through it, but yeah, if you're a visual learner like me, you're gonna just read through it, and you know, a lot of the terms are very abstract, so it's if you gotta tie everything into what you're doing at work. And of course, for those that went to college for project management, it's probably gonna be a breeze for them, and regardless if you know went to if you studied that, if you've been a project manager for 40 plus years and, you didn't really have a degree, I still recommend getting it. It, you know, it's, it's a great outline, um, these are some of the best practices, not from just the United States, all over the world, um, internationally. So yeah, let's get started. So tip number one, as far as if you're a visual learner, um I wouldn't start reading the PMBOK guide, right off the bat. Now if you're enrolled in a course, even better. They're going to have videos for you. Watch all the videos, listen. If you don't understand something, that's a great time to write it down, and that's where the PMBOK guide comes in handy, because now you can reference that, check it out in the PMBOK guide, and it'll start to make sense. And another nice thing the courses have is quizzes. There may be only 4 questions per chapter, but those are some of those questions, can you might see them on the exam. At least they'll help you understand the concept. So yeah, and then you want to step number 2, understand the phases, right? Initiating, planning, execution, um, risk, monitoring, controlling, and then closing out, right? Project, understand the phases, understand the processes within each phase. The inputs and outputs are crucial. Um, this is where the PMBOK guide will be really good. There's essentially, they got flow charts, and they list down all the processes, all the, you know, tools and techniques, what, the inputs, the outputs. And yeah, and then tip number 3. So if you're enrolled in a course, luckily for those of you that are enrolled in a course, there's going to be, um, at least for, and I recommend Simply Learn. Oh, yep, that I was enrolled in that course. And just to start off, I didn't, I was enrolled in the course, and, I did everything last minute. So I didn't absorb the videos like I should have. But if I would have went back, oh yeah, I would have took my time and not rushed and absorbed everything. But towards the end of the course, they have, um, you'll take a exam, like a mock exam, but they have a lot of mock exams. You can download, take screenshots. So, oh, I'll be back. So definitely download those mock exams, take screenshots, and don't just try to get the right answer. Understand, you know, but the meaning behind the answer, right? So, and then understand the answers that are incorrect, right? Um, so Each question's kind of based off of, you know, you're, you might get lucky and memorize the right questions. But and you may, pass the exam because you memorized the correct answers. And if you can do it that way, great. But yeah, for most people, it's not going to happen that way. So you want to understand, see, each question might be catered to what phase you're in the project, or what process or what input you need for that process, or what tool and technique you can use. So that's kind of where your mindset should be, understanding the phases and inputs, outputs, what input you need, or what output, in a process occurs. So, um, yeah. So this is where the PMBOK guide will come in handy. You can look at those charts that list down everything for you. And kind of work your way backwards with the PMBOK guide. Now, as far as the exams, practice, you know, I would practice 10 different exams, or, as many as you can before your exam date, and understand each question. Change, um, change orders, or the change management process. That's also something that you want to look into. A lot of questions are catered to that because, believe me, projects change. You know, I haven't worked on a project, you know, you know, I mean, there's some that, let no changes, but some projects come back a year later and, you know, it needs something redone, or they, construction it's not feasible. And so, it's important to understand the change process. And then, I also recommend, one of the things that helped me, so believe it or not, I passed on my third try, but, you know, uh, there's a YouTuber, his channel is called PMP with Ray. Highly recommend, he does some mock questions. He kind of gives you you know, what to look out for, kind of the mindset of, which phase you should be thinking about. And yeah, really good tips. And you can apply that to all the questions. And, you know, uh, and then the final thing is, you know, I didn't, you know, during my first few exams, I tried to study the night before, and I was tired. And, you know, that last week, just take it easy, take it easy. Um, and you get a break in between, the exam, so you can kind of think about, you know, um, questions and stuff like that. And, you know, just try to game plan for the second half of the exam. And yeah, but these are my tips. I mean, if you want to reach out to me, you know, of course, you got to be consistent with your studying, and if you fail, right, you got to look at what you're doing. If you fail the first time, don't get discouraged. It's not an easy exam. And if you fail the second time, again, it's not an easy exam. But you know, for those of you, it's a really good, um, you know, certificate to have, and you can apply it to your job. I mean, like they say, I mean, it's a tool, right? An outline or a guide, right, for you to manage your projects. Well, all right, everyone. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.